You can't get the job unless you can get the job done. Welcome to the Ranagade Show, powered by Shine and Jam.
That's right.
I'm your host, Ranagade PerRana.
And I'm Amirica.
Bam, there it is. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom.
Episode 2.
I guess so. We've come far.
Very far.
Ooh, it's finally sunny in LA. Springtime.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
Look at this view.
Brought to you directly from underneath the Hollywood sign. B-roll shot. You know what I'm saying? That's where we at. You'll see it. It's going to be a fire. It's going to pan to like this fire drone shot right now. You're going to see this is going to be my narration over it. It's going to just be going slowly over. It's going to start here, though. But then again, I'm afraid that we're in a no-fly zone because we're literally underneath the sign. What do you think? You think we'll make it?
I think the FAA is at the door right now.
Right now, for sure. Waiting.
Because they don't like what they're hearing.
They don't. So welcome to the show. Brought to you by us, powered by Shine and Jam. The best for them edges, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, look at your hair.
Yeah.
As testament. Look at my hair as testament.
Listen, you feel me? All these luscious locks need to be taken care of. That's it. So we are here discussing what's good in the world because the world, I was chilling, working, working hard every single day. That's what I do. That's what I like the people around me to be doing, working hard every single day, not paying attention to all the fugazi things happening in the world. Somehow, though, the world came knocking at my door. And as a journalist, you'll probably have some good insights on how this might have even happened eventually. But here we are now, and now the world wants to know what's going on. How do we get here? Who are we? What do we do? Where do we come from? What's the path? What's the journey? What's the road? And that's what we're going to dive into. So we're going to have guests sometimes on this show. We're going to give good advicey stuff. He's going to have bars to drop on you, just random, unexpected bars.
Very unexpected.
Very unexpected. Like, you won't even expect him to come in with what he's coming in with, but he's going to come in with it. And we're going to have a good time. That's the whole purpose of why we're here. And we're going to kick things off with discussing what is going on good in the world right now and what's going on funny in the world right now. You were talking to me about the one homie who got in trouble. What's his story?
Okay, so...
I don't know the one, too.
All right, so Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
Star player John Morant.
Okay.
Got drafted a couple years ago. He's an all-star. He's considered one of the best players in the league. He's at a strip club. He went on IG Live. Not exactly the best move. He had a gun that wasn't his.
Have we not learned?
He brandished the weapon, as they like to say in the legal community, which means he pulled the gun out.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And so the Memphis police investigated, the NBA investigated. He was suspended for a couple games. He did an interview with Jalen Rose, who said that he went to the strip club. He frequented the strip club, so he's not coming at this holier than thou in this situation. Because Jalen Rose has frequented said strip club in Memphis. So... And the owner of the strip club said he was a nice young man who seemed to tip a lot. So it's just these type of things make me think. Like, what if John Morant had Ranagade as an older sister? What would Ranagade say to somebody in this situation right now?
I would say, why? First of all, sir, if you gonna do dirt all by your lonesome. Second of all, don't live stream your dirt. We've just found out recently, people get themselves in hot water. Like, you could be your biggest demise. Like, you could be the reason you are going down in flames. And most times you are the reason you are going down in flames. Now, had that young man just done what he does, which I would have said, first of all, are we not better than this? You're a star athlete. You are that man. I mean, if anything, you got enough bread to bring the strip club to the crib and hire security to hold this toolie for you, sir. What is you doing? You balling. Rent you a mansion in LA for the weekend or get you one, you know what I'm saying? And then now you could throw yourself a party, have all the girls come by the crib, have it all secured, do the right thing. What is you doing? And you could potentially even write it off. It's a party. You could sell your merch when the people come over. It could be a business move if you're smart about it.
But don't you think people get to the top just to show off like that? Isn't that the whole reason you become a star? You become a star in a city
I think people
so
get
you
to
can
the top
show
and
off
think
like
it's a
that?
zip line. People get to the top and they're like, what do you do at the mountain? Oh, Florida. Like, nah, bro, you're supposed to be chilling, enjoy the view. You're bugging. He got to the top and was like, I think a lot of people do that. Now, I would also tell him, stop getting on the gram. Stop getting on the gram. What is you doing? You don't know how to just chill? Like, everything isn't for everybody. First of all, what you're doing is silly all around. But if you're going to be silly, don't broadcast the silly. My God. Take the L in silence. Like, right? Like, flash the gun quietly. Also, now it makes anybody who, and I don't know this guy, I don't know the story. So now, like, how gangsta are you to just pull out the weapon when it's not time?
Well, the meme on the internet is that John Morant had 2 parents in a stable marriage, and he went to a nice private school. It's kind of like what B. Rabbit said.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean someone isn't a gangster, because there's a lot of gangsters in the world who have both parents at home, who went to really nice schools, have always made really good decisions, but they're gangsters. They understand the code and the ethics of moving a certain way, and these are people you don't mess with also. But obviously, that's not the reason. It's not because he had a stable home. People from stable homes do unstable things all the times, right? Or is it unstable or unstable? Unstable.
Both,
right? Like
unstable.
instability.
Yeah.
Unstable. Oh, wow, look at that. So a stable home doesn't mean you're going to be some perfect person. People from really great parents make terrible decisions. Cool. We're not going to bring the parents into this. The issue is whoever his OGs are, whoever he, like, maybe his dad didn't teach him gun etiquette, right? Somebody should have taught you gun etiquette. If you carry a gun, you don't pull that thing out unless it's time. That's what I've heard. I don't got one. That's what I've always heard. So I know I could teach somebody what the gun etiquette is, and I could teach somebody what the 1-2 is. Like, if you a real one, it's not time, bro. What do you just, I got it gone. You're going to jail. Like, what are you doing, bro? It's not time. It's not the move. And
well,
honestly,
for the record, Ja is he's not facing any charges for
that's
holding
good.
up the
Somebody
firearm,
should just
so.
look at him and say, hey, silly young boy, you're going to learn from this mistake that you made, honest mistake that you made. Like, what was the homie who shot himself in the leg?
Oh, Plexico Burris.
Bruh. How you shoot yourself in the foot before you got one step ahead? Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. You got to be careful, and this is real shit. Like Lil Wayne, we almost lost Lil Wayne because he was playing with a gun. This is, like, real stuff. You can't. Don't play. It's not playtime.
Well, it's like the
isn't
Icarus
playtime.
thing. Like, people are too close to the sun. But what do you think? What do you think is going to ever give people that perspective to not screw around with their life like that? What do you think? What's going to break through to someone who's got the top, who's at the peak of their health, who's got the world is in their hands, right?
Somebody player telling you that's not player. That's what I'm here for. I think that's what we're here for. To show player is not somebody just has to teach you what the 1-2 is or how to survive this whole thing, because there is all these little things designed to take you out, like goofing off, talking too much, getting on the phone. Like, some of our favorite musical heroes right now are facing charges because of a bunch of talking somebody did. Y'all got to shut up a little bit as I podcast. Talk too much. But don't talk stupid, right? Like, you could talk about a million things without self-incriminating or without also you have to make mistakes and learn, right?
Right, yeah.
But now don't over compound these things with all these other things now that could
But don't you think people are just so desperate for attention? Don't you think that's what drives it? It doesn't matter how rich, how famous you are, how much the world is in your hands. You want more attention. Attention is a bottomless drug of addiction. Like, you just want more and more attention.
Yep. And I see, so
as we're on a podcast.
I agree. I think so. Here's the thing with attention, right? So, like, I talk a lot. I'm little, got mad energy. That gets a lot of attention, right? In itself. So now it's this whole thing of, like, don't be like, all right, you about to get all this attention. Don't be a lame. Don't be whack. Don't say whack shit. Don't say whack shit. Don't do whack shit. Everyone's watching. Do the right thing. Be a hero in the eyes of people, or be exemplary in the eyes of people versus just getting the attention. And I think that's where, like, in the household there, like with pets. All right, your dog is going to be a lot more receptive to you ignoring the bad behavior and being disappointed in it than, like, giving it hell of attention, getting mad at the dog, fighting with the kid. Like, with the kids the same way, right? You gotta put attention to the right things and ignore the wrong things. Society and everything else rewards all the wrong things. So you're right. Like, you're rich. Yep, you're right. The guy's rich. He's a baller. He doesn't give a fuck what no one's talking about.
Exactly.
Rah, rah.
So why does he have to listen to anybody? That's what he thinks.
Because look at your dumb ass now. Because look at your dumb ass now. Some of that shit is like, all right, I just figured it out. Adulting is being so tired of making the same mistake that many times. Like, bruh, I've been late 100 times. I'm about to set enough alarms that I'm not late no more. Okay,
Right.
well, congratulations, you're an adult now. I've locked my keys in my car so many times that I refuse to shut the door without looking at the keys as I shut. It better be in my hand.
Yeah, growing up is not necessarily that life is so different for you now because you've reached a different age. You just have experienced it enough that you know what to do.
Period.
It's experience.
Yep.
Life is experience, you know?
You've adulted now.
Yeah.
Now you know, all right, if I do XYZ, I'm fucking up. If I pull my gun out at the strip club and I'm one of the most famous motherfuckers in America, and
Especially in Memphis. He's the most famous guy in
like
Memphis.
people are walking down the street filming nobodies, and respectfully, everybody's a somebody. But I mean, as far as like public figure,
Yeah.
non-public, private figures. People are filming people at the park. You famous, bro. So anybody that went to the club tonight is gonna put you on the gram and be like, ooh, people was popping at the club. So-and-so was in there. And tag your dumbass in the shit. So now you are in front of everybody, sir. You're not dumb. You do come from a good family. You do have a lot to represent. You have made it to a
But what's
level
private
of,
in a world where the entire world's in your pocket?
That's my point. It's not private no more.
What is private
There's
anymore?
no private. You can't go to London
You could
apparently and not be on camera the entire time.
on display for the entire world in the blink of an eye.
That's it.
And a permanent record.
That's it.
Like how do we ever get privacy back in a situation like that?
You don't. Here's the thing. So for me, there's no privacy. Ultimately, there's no privacy in the world because everything is being observed by something living, unless you are in an absolute like solitary confinement, and then your spirit is still living. So now you are witnessing self from an outer body experience, which is what a lot of people still do. So you are forever witnessing life while you're living, forever. So as you're witnessing life, like. Your job is to not, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, you are forever in it. And
But I think that's the problem with these young athletes. That's the problem with these entertainers. They feel like they've reached the mountaintop, and what else is there to life? They don't need to have perspective because living without perspective got them so far ahead.
Yeah.
So
for
why
sure.
would they fight against that concept?
Well, I think when you're younger, and I mean, and some people never graduate from this, but I think there's parts of your brain that develop at certain points that now see you as a long-term person that's got to be in this bitch this entire fucking time. Like, you like your feet? Them the 2 feet you about to be walking on forever. You like your fingers? Those are the hands you have, bro. You're not going to get no other hands. You better take care of those hands that do everything for you. All this art these hands create, I better thank them. You get a heart. You get a heart. And if you don't take care of your heart, you're going to find yourself having to do whatever. Even if you take care of your heart, your poor heart, I just found out recently, by the time you're in your like 60s or 70s, your heart does about like 80 palpitations like per minute from like months before you're even like breathing, like from the time your heart is hearting, it's pumping. So by the time you in your 60s and 70s, them motherfuckers done pumped like 3 billion something times. It's paper thin, the valve. Paper thin. You think you're invincible. You're not invincible. You are a fragile little moment in time. You better take care of your shit, take care of your hands, take care of your feet. Like, what's ahead of you? Life. You think you popping because you're 25. You think you popping because you're 35. You think you popping because you're 45. You better be popping at 75. You better be good and happy at 85. You better be good and taken care of. And, you know, like.
But I think we've all had those friends in high school who peaked, right? That was the best moment of their life.
That's
their
'cause
life
they peaked.
That's what I mean. And I think a lot of these celebrities subconsciously feel the same way, that they've peaked, that this is it. There's nothing better than this. So they might as well milk whatever this moment is for everything that it's worth.
I think that is literally just straight up selfishness. Like, you are literally so consumed in self, you have never taken a moment to look outside of yourself and see that this entire thing is cyclical. It has a beginning, it has an end, every single thing goes. Like, so you just you never walk past an elderly person and really try to think of their life. Maybe you haven't. I think you should. If you haven't, you should. You should look at a child and say, this child tomorrow could make the right decision or the wrong decision. You're 2 bad decisions away from some bullshit, bro. Like, in LA, you're 2 bad decisions away from Skid Row. For real. For real. Like, and I tell all my friends that move here, I'm like, bro, you're 2 bad decisions away from either going back home or having be living in your car. Do the right thing. All right, don't pay your rent tomorrow and then fuck up on your job on Monday. All right, see where you're going to end up. Either back at home or living in your car for a month trying to figure it out. Don't be silly. Silly decisions so what's ahead of you? All right, what's ahead of you? Life is ahead of you. The same breath that was behind you will be ahead of you. And whatever you are now, like okay, Deion Sanders, prime time, baby. Like what? He was all of them things. All right, I'm this star today. I'm this star tomorrow. I'm an amazing coach now. I'm now here. You can't stop being great. What you mean? You can't stop being great. Like, okay, reinvent yourself. The other problem is people get hella like tired and lackadaisical, and now they're like, I'm just gonna go sit in the corner. No, you are. I mean, what are all the animals that like shed their skin, like praying mantises or
Butterflies
or like crabs or whatever, right? Like you just keep developing yourself. You can't tap out like the friends we had in high school, anybody had in high school, who are like, okay, this is really where I'm at. So sometimes that's okay. Some people made families and got their little white picket fences, but those people still have to elevate.
Do you think they're all really depressed though, those people?
Not necessarily. It just depends on how big your capacity of
I feel like they're all really depressed.
Well, sure. But some of those people, if it just depends on what your vision was on your board. If that was your mood board, let's say, or whatever, if that was your vision board, then you got what you wanted. Like some people are really okay. Like everyone has to play a role, and that's okay. Everyone doesn't need to be Amirica. Like everyone doesn't feel like how you feel. Like somebody really does got to wake up and be like, bruh, I don't want none of that shit. I don't got no opinions on nothing. Do you? I don't got nothing to say. Me? Psh, I got hella opinions. Facts, opinions, theories, like, philosophies. We got all those
Speaking
things
of the
for
crab, did you know that many different species have evolved into the shape of a crab that are not crabs? There's over 100 different animals that have evolved into a crab-like shape. But they're not crabs.
Was the crab the original?
Because the crab is like the perfect shape.
Is the crab the original?
It just works really well.
Did we crab before we spidered? Obviously.
We crabbed before we spidered.
Did we crab before we lobstered?
Well, I mean, crabs are just really old. Just the whole idea of like you have the two pincher hands and then you have the little moving feet.
That's amazing.
It's the crab.
Listen,
the crab theory.
Because once something makes sense, everybody adopts it.
Exactly.
Like the radio. Somebody was like, "Hey, yo, you could talk for a long time. You got hella shit to say. You should do the radio." And somebody was like, "Bet, put me on. Tell the world."
I think people just wanted to hear someone else's thoughts, right?
Yep. Well, yeah, because like I said, like there's some people aren't depressed. Some people, like there's givers and there's receivers. There's gardeners and there's flowers.
Speaking of gardeners, I think there's a mariachi band playing or something. I don't know what's going on here.
Hey, yo. We had the gardeners here earlier, and that was a little distraction. And then now the neighbors are throwing a party. So I think there is an orchestra playing in the background. But it's all good. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens in the hills. Everybody's having a good time and living their lives. But yeah, Ranagade show brought to you by Shine and Jam tapping back in. But yeah, I think we were talking about your boy being silly. So bottom line, and then we can move on, to the next interesting thing happening in the world or that has happened in the world. But I think ultimately, don't hurt yourself, people. Don't play yourself. Don't put yourself in silly situations where now you have yourself to blame. Ugh, it's so much easier when you could blame the world instead of yourself. But you shouldn't blame anyone. You should always ultimately blame yourself because it was your fault you got into that situation. Even if it wasn't your fault you got into that situation, I think in life, either you accept or you expect. So either you expected these things to happen to you or you accepted that these things happened to you. Either one is somehow a internal, personal thing for you to work through. Because if things happen to you that are wrong, you don't have to accept that as the fate of the world or your fate. You don't have to accept that. Okay, things happen. People were wrong. People were rude. People mess up. People do bad. People are hurt people, all these things. Okay, I don't have to accept that is what life is. Because now I can look outside of myself and say, nah, man, it's good people that exist in the world. There is nice people that exist.
Well, I think you nailed it. You have to look outside of yourself in order to break patterns.
Right.
In order to break, generational trauma is a real thing. Like, something that happened to your grandfather that messed up his life is probably still messing up your life because he didn't resolve it, and then his son was unable to, or his daughter wasn't able to resolve it, and then you were born, and then you're not able to resolve it. Yeah. So it's all the same situation. You have to figure out problems because they're going to continue. They're going to get passed along. They're going to get passed along to the world because your problems are the world's problems. All the people that are going around that have their own issues and think, all I'm dealing with is myself.
No.
The only issue, I'm not harming anybody because I
Yeah,
can't
right.
figure myself out. You not being a functional member of this ecosystem, this intellectual ecosystem, is harming everyone around you.
Period. Because you're a part of everything. Everything you put outside of yourself is a part of something else. So when you throw your trash out, you're like, I don't see it anymore. Like, it's the ostrich theory, right? Like, the ostrich digs its head in the sand and acts like because it can't see, you can't see its ass hanging up in the air.
Right.
Like, okay, so you don't see your trash anymore. So now you think it doesn't exist. Well, your trash just got picked up by some people that have to deal with it. So if you didn't bag it up right and it
Exactly.
spills all over the place, or your container's bottoms broke, like, okay, you just ruined someone else's day, let's say. Let's say you take the stuff there, you didn't dispose of your waste properly. Boom, someone else's day. All right, your phone. Somebody had to sit there. There's cities that are just toxic computer waste. We have a Texas-sized island of plastic floating in the middle of the Pacific. Not your problem? Great. It's the fish's problem now, and you got to eat them fish. It's plastic in the rain and the fish now.
It's all in our bloodstream. It's
We're-
everywhere. We're digesting microplastics at a crazy rate.
Oh, the humans. You are not above animals. You are an animal. You just a little less hairy. All right? You just another animal. Matter of fact, you're not even a good animal. The only reason you are even thriving the way you're thriving is because you developed weapons. You can't go toe-to-toe with a lion or a bear or a tiger unless you raised it as a cub. You're not going toe-to-toe with a wild animal.
And
You're
even
gonna
then, you'll
die,
get
bro.
Siegfried and Royd, you know?
You
You
feel
could
me?
raise it from a cub.
You
It'll
could
still
even
kill
raise
you.
it from
Yeah.
a cub and it'll still be like, bruh, shut up. Who you telling to get in the cage?
You German
You
magician.
German magician.
Bastard.
You magician.
Yeah.
Like, that's not cool. Don't do that. But ultimately, you're humans. You're not above nothing. We're not above nothing. So, like, get in where you fit in, and that's one of the other animals here on this planet. So, like I say, like, what, people will be like, what you eat don't make me shit. And that's a fact. Like, what you do personally doesn't bother me. But what you shit back out, bro, and what you eat does affect me. Because where'd you get the food from? What are you taking care of the land you got the food from? Are you taking care of the people that grew the food? Are you doing right by all of these things? Or are you just consuming whatever? Are you poisoning yourself? Also, furthermore, what you shit could make me sick. Not literally what you shit, what you sneeze could make me sick. Your germs could make me sick. We just all found this out during all of this COVID shit. Like, all right, whoop-de-whoop, real or not, that's on you. You figure it out. Don't get in whatever rabbit hole you want
Well,
to go
I think
down.
it was
don't
really
care about
hard
that.
for society to realize what we're talking about is
Yeah.
that we all affect each other.
But point is, we're all just a bunch of the same species animals.
Yes.
So, like, whatever, like, if my dog got a cold, I'm not really finna catch it.
Right.
And he's not about to catch my little punk-ass flu. Like, we got different bodies.
Now, if you have a pet bat,
and I ate it, right? Okay, never mind. But point is, if another person, because we're all humans of the same human race, has something or gets something, all right, well, now we all have to take care of our loved ones and our brother and our sister, and then make sure that they all right, and then make sure we don't get that shit. That's it. That's really what that comes down to. And then, so now you're not special. You're not special. You're not above nothing. You're not above nothing. So take care of all that. So what, whatever.
But it's tribalism, right? It's like we all look at, like me and you, we look at people who have our same type of clothes, into the same type of stuff, dress the same, live in the same city. Doesn't matter what their race is, because we're friends with people from all different types of races, all different types of places. They're our tribe, right? And then, if you watch something like Star Trek, it's like humans versus aliens or something. It's like there's the human tribe. So that, like, it depends on what your perspective on a tribe is. How micro do you make it and how macro do you make it? And, like, when we view everyone as different than us, like, oh, those people, they're so different from us. No, you're human beings too. When we look at a black person and a white person, we go, oh, they have different skin color. They have a different, a man or woman. Guess what they have? The same organs.
That part.
They have the same heart. They got the same spleen.
They gotta breathe the same air.
That's what I'm saying.
We all gotta live on the same soil. We all have to deal with the same pollutants in the water. Like, okay, cool. Whatever, all right, you think only the whales are affected in the ocean? Whatever is in that water is affected together, because those things are all affected by the water. Poison that water, they all go. Like you said, if an alien came down on the planet, we would not care. We would be like aliens versus us.
Exactly.
Like, ain't nobody, like, the gangs are united now.
You could be the biggest
cops are
LeBron-
united with the FBI, the CIA, whoever hates each other. Like, all these countries that got beef with each other, it doesn't matter no more, because
Yep.
now we're being attacked as a whole.
Yes.
And we have to stop this thing, because here's the thing. What they say, like, my enemy's enemy is my friend,
Exactly. Yep.
ultimately.
Yep.
So that's it. Like, all right, if we're friends, it's different. But if I feel like if I come in and I'm like, everybody's got to go. Y'all better take me out.
But I think
Because
the
none of you are
problem
safe.
is, I think the
None
problem
of you are
is-
safe, bro. Like, what? Take the person who wants to harm all of you out.
Well, I think the problem is
Not literally.
we think that our
Heal the
friend's
world.
friend is our enemy. That's what we end up thinking, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but I think that's a part of like the stories that we highlight. I think if you just only like you can't just highlight the Cain and Abel bullshit. Not bullshit, but I'm saying like that can't be the only story that's highlighted, let's say. Or it can't just be like the villainous story that's highlighted. Sometimes we do have to talk about like all the kumbaya, like feel good, fairies and
Well,
butterflies.
this is what I'm
type
telling you
shit,
as a
know?
journalist. The first thing they tell you in journalism school is if it bleeds, it leads. Meaning if someone's dead, it's going to be the front page story. They don't give a shit about rescued
part.
puppies. Rescued puppies are not the headline of any newspaper around
That
the
part.
country. It's just not what people care about because it's not important to their lives.
Okay, so now is that I also think is that because you need something to shake you. You need something to shake your core. Like the other day we were discussing at the house the different like feel good movies versus like these really depressing films that like make you just drag you down
Exactly,
the
yeah,
road
yeah,
and
yeah,
la la la. Okay, but like we were talking about like I don't like to be scared. I don't like for somebody to startle me. I don't need extra trauma, bro. I'm traumatized out. I've seen it. I've lived it. Been there, don't care. I would love to just heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race from now on. Like that's ideal for me and anybody who's actually seen hurt, pain, and sorrow, right?
Do you think people who look for trauma in their lives are people who haven't experienced it?
I think that's a two-edged sword. I think part of that is I think people that don't have enough trauma seek it because they have something that needs satisfaction. But then also a lot of people, because they don't have avenues and outlets, the opposite of depression is expression. So no one's telling them to express themselves. Nobody's telling them dance it out, sing it out, talk it out, write it out, draw it out, community service it out, get involved with your people it out. They're not telling you all that. So now you're sitting in it. So some people sit in trauma and thrive in trauma because that's all they know. So in the same sense that like you could be too healthy. Like you could have your immunity system be so clean and baby-like that now regular things can take you out.
Right. If you over sanitize too much,
Period.
then you
Now
don't have an immune
you know what I'm
system.
saying?
Right.
You can't do that. Like you need, you know what I'm saying? Like a kid needs to play in mud.
Exactly.
Like you need a little, you know, so
God made dirt and dirt
don't hurt. Dead ass. That's really what it is. So ultimately, I think there's two sides to like, do people seek trauma because I do think people put themselves through hell to teach themselves lessons. So if you find yourself in a hell right now, like, what are you seeking out of it? What do you need?
But don't you think sometimes people who live those sad, depressing stories just need to say them? It's not about necessarily making the entire world a sad, depressing place. It's just sometimes that's
the story that
that's
you have
the
to
art
tell.
of someone who's
Period.
dealing with something that's sad and
that-
depressed. And I
yes.
think we as a society don't appreciate that.
No, and
we always think like it's always some commentary on us.
Yes, 100%, exactly. Like you said, like, is it? You need to see it though to like teach the lesson.
Yeah.
Like you have to see that story get like we were talking about the Cinderella bullshit or whatever. Like you might be sitting with your parents watching it, but like that the pain of like, oh no, so and so doesn't. It's a lonely child, or it's an orphan, or it's this, or it's that. Like, okay, well, there's orphans in the world that have to watch those same movies. Like, I watched Annie with my parents in the room, but there's an orphan named Annie in the world who watched Annie and might need that story to like tell their story. So it's not. Like, I think some of it is necessary. Some of it is people like being like.
Well, I think this actually ties really neatly back to the whole Ja Morant thing and why he's showing out for extra attention. It's all about people thinking they are so unique.
Mm-hmm.
And they get told they're so unique by their friends, by their family, and they have nothing that really differentiates them from other people.
Right. What's
They
my
don't-
story?
They don't have a style that differentiates them, but they're so convinced that their pain, their trauma is so unique to themselves. And like sometimes it is. Sometimes artists can really render these beautiful, sad stories. And sometimes people just hang on to trauma because they don't want to grow.
Right.
Because
right.
they don't want to actually push themselves beyond the limit of where they were. They
Right.
don't want to keep growing.
Right. Also, I think there's people like just literally going right with exactly what you're saying. Like, I think there's people that want to be the character in a story.
Yeah.
And like you're not supposed to be. Sometimes you're just supposed to listen to stories.
Yes.
Like
you're not the main character.
A smart man learns from his own mistakes, right? But a genius learns from the mistakes of others. Like you don't gotta make all the mistakes, bro. You don't gotta put your hand in the socket for me to tell you it electrocutes you.
Yes.
You don't gotta do every single thing. You don't gotta go to jail to be like, bruh, that ain't it. And you also don't gotta like, okay.
Right, I've never put my hand on a burning stove, but I think it might burn me.
Right. Like so, but some people are like, I need every single mistake on me. Well, no, your character is to do this. Also, there's also mental and public persona enslavement that happens with athletes, I think. Let's touch on that. When, let's say you really are, like, let's say you really do feel, listen, you know, they coming.
They heard enslavement, and they're like, this is too deep. This is way, way too deep. We can't have this out there.
So I think there is enslavement of your persona and who you are. Like if you look back on how much Allen Iverson had to fight to just wear his hair in braids, bro. What are we talking about? We talking about practice?
I knew you were going to say.
What are we talking about? I didn't even mean to, but it just so naturally happened. You know, AI got the answer, Sway. So.
Oh, it's the age of AI now.
Okay, you feel me? AI.
Brought to you by Chatbot.
Brought to you by Shine and Jam. So. I think with athletes, you now, not just athletes, you're talking about pop stars. You're talking about anybody that's under management or agency now has to fill this particular role. That leads you to having to damn near wild out to break that chain. That doesn't mean it was a good idea. We've seen it happen over and over again. People wildin' to break chains. Am I mad at the stray dog for biting the hand of the nice guy who was gonna take him and feed him and all that? Was it a nice move? No, but like, do we understand? Yeah, like, is it understandable why you wilding and doing self-harm and harm to others?
I think one of the things I like to say,
you shouldn't. You know, you should feel like this person is.
Yes,
you know,
and I think that's such a good point because one of the things I like to say is you can't excuse behavior. Some behavior is inexcusable. There's things that you do that are just plain wrong. We talked about this before on the other show. Like, there's just right and there's wrong. Right and wrong. There's just, you know what it is. You feel it. You feel it instinctively.
It's in here.
But what I would say is instead of excusing things, you have to explain things. Why did you make such a bad decision? There is an explanation behind it. And a lot of times people are like, it's inexcusable. I don't want to hear it. No. That's not growing. That's not really understanding each other. That is the whole tribal thing of, hey, me and you are in this and everyone else is not a human being and they don't matter. That is such a negative way to view the world, and it really harms everyone in it. That's what I mean. Your problems are everyone else's problems. If you don't experience the world the way you need to, you're never going to experience it with other people.
Yep. Exactly. Like if you let people express themselves freely as they go and as they move, if society, and this goes all around, like if we let women be women and just do womanly shit, you wouldn't have these young girls that come out of that young Hollywood era who feel like, nah, they gotta wild out to prove that they're not that thing. Like, bro, that you should have just let that little girl develop as she wanted to. Why was you trying to censor her and keep her down and keep her down and keep her down to the point where now, you know, free Britney, whatever, the whole era, like, you got to shave your head and wild out, bro. That's a cry. That's like really like, y'all playing with her.
And then if you look at some of the interviews that Britney was going on in the early 2000s.
She's begging for help. And everyone's like, shut up, Britney.
And they're calling her like a whore to her face, basically.
Disgusting.
Like, it's just horrible.
When you have adults and that, like, you know, these certain conversations happen in certain places, but we just need to kind of keep the playing ground fair. Like, y'all are soliciting a young girl and making her look even younger and soliciting her sexually to the world. And now we're mad that in reality, she was being pimped out, and then she's trying to not get pimped out, and then she's being silenced for trying to not, you know, whatever. I don't even know the details. I'm not a.
Well, it's like the purity standard for women,
ultimately,
right? You know? It's like she's a virgin, and then she's and then she dated a few people. Now she's a whore. It's the virgin whore thing, right?
So you're exactly. Like, you want her to say one thing. It's not good enough that she's not that.
And you always tell me about this. It's so pedophilic. Like the whole idea that like women need to be pure. Like it's and like having a sister that like taught me these things growing up was massively important for me because it really shaped like. You hear a lot of like for me as a guy who hears just a ridiculous amount of misogyny in the world and looks at women in my family, women in my life, women around me, and I go, yeah, that's not how I view women. Women are human beings. Like I don't know why that's such a crazy concept, but it's like a lot of people can't get to that point. And like, and I think that virgin whore thing is like proof of that. It's like unless you're pure, you have no value. And as soon as you lose your purity, you've lost all your value. And that's a really messed up thing,
I think man thinks man owns Earth, and then man thinks everything is below man, and then somehow like man thinks, whoa, man isn't who created man.
Yeah.
And birthed all the men. So I just think it's a hierarchy type of a thing, and now that's just the patriotic work that we live in, whatever. But ultimately, for like the John Morant guy or any of these people that have to wild out, like you were saying, for us in the family, like growing up, I was allowed to dress in crop top shirts. I was allowed to dress how I dress, but I was taught like your integrity and who you are, especially to the men of the world, is in your eye. It's in your eye contact and in your behavior. It's not in your outfit. Now, I'm Middle Eastern. I come from a place where girls is covered up. You not fooling nobody, shorty. You with the shits. You are going. So you covering up doesn't make nobody think you're innocent. Covered up doesn't mean innocent. And then on the opposite end, being comfortable because it's hot outside doesn't mean you wildin'.
Exactly.
Your behavior dictates whether you're wildin' or you're not. Like if you're going or if you're not. So I was taught that, thank God, from our parents, the same way you were taught lots of really beautiful, like, I wasn't taught that. I was taught, like, I could wear my little belly shirt and be on my little, like, you know, Aaliyah tip, you know, on my little, like, escape, Mary J. Blige, whatever tip, being cute,
Right.
you know, whatever that whole vibe was, wearing the crop tops and the baggy clothes and whatever. All right, but it was my behavior that made me not get played or know how to, like, be like, no, no being my favorite word. Right? So now, with him and with all these kids tying it right back in, you not letting I don't know, and I don't know John Morant. I don't know how he lives his life. This is all just general statements. So if it's not him, fill in
No,
blank
you're
with
talking
somebody
to
else.
everyone in the vein
like,
of John Morant.
Period.
Yeah,
like, even go back to AI having to fight for the cornrows, bro. Having to fight to wear jeans.
Right.
Having to fight to wear baggy clothes because that was his expression of, he was hip hop. Right? Well, he was an athlete, but he was hip hop. Whatever.
Sure, yeah.
You not letting people express themselves. So now this kid is like hella confused. No one's really like explaining to him like, look, listen, you want to be gangsta, throw some dope parties, be lit. You could be lit. You could have fire security around you. Like you could, like, there's people out there who are like, no one thinks they're tough, right? I.e. like Drake. No one thinks you're tough. But no one's messing with the guy either. Like, he has enough security around him that you know whether he knows how to throw a punch or not, which we don't know.
So Drake is the greatest rapper of all time to
Oh
you?
my
or
God.
What's your opinion on Drake?
Like DMX said, I don't like his face. I don't like the way not for real. No, God bless everybody. Do your thing.
She
I
hates
think,
Drake.
listen, do your thing. Do
She
your
is
thing. Do your
lying to
thing.
you right now. I'm looking at the camera to tell you that she hates Drake.
Wow. I
I'm
don't.
exposing you.
I mean, I just don't listen. I just can't listen to that. You know what I mean? I like to listen to rappers and people that make me feel like, you know what I mean? I might say something they said at another time. Like I'm a high priestess in holy hip hop.
You have gone 0 to 60, 0 to 100.
So the
real quick.
verses
That's what you
matter, you know? The verses, the holy verses matter.
Started from the bottom.
Like an
you're
orthodox like an orthodox religious person would know the holy verses of their religion. They would know what these verses were by heart. They would be able to spit them to you. I like to learn the verses of the disciples of hip hop, you know. So there's a lot of TD Jakes out here and Joel Osteens, and God bless them too. But, you know, I'd rather listen to the word. The real word, the real gospel.
Pat Robertson? That guy? 700?
Who's that? Oh, God.
700 Club guy?
Hey, yo, there's some, listen, if in my mind, I'm like fearless, right? In my mind, I'm real fearless, right? But like when I think about certain people, they're scary. That guy,
Do you remember our old neighbor Walt? That guy, that was the scariest guy I've ever seen. He pulled a shotgun on us. That was true story.
That was trauma. That was a weird thing for you to just throw it.
I'm just talking about scary people. Yeah, you know, we talked about trauma, just reliving some stuff.
Yeah, that was real left field. But okay, we could go with that. You know, we lived in an area that was very, very highly racist.
Good times. Good times.
With lots of members of.
And shotgun.
Yeah. So that's all right. That's all right. We're here today underneath the Hollywood sign on the Ranagade show, brought to you by Shine and Jam. You know, powered by the best hair products in the world. You know what I'm saying? You want to lay them edges.
I mean,
you want to get
hair,
right.
Guys. Look
you
at her
know,
hair.
you want to get right. You want to be the baddie that you know you are, boys or girls. It's perfect for any hair texture as well. So from your slick back Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner ponytails to your Allen Iversons to your, Damian Marley down to the ankle, you know what I mean? All of that. Whether you live an Ital Vital life or not, Shine and Jam is good for you. You should all live an Ital Vital life, though. Ja!
Ja Morant Rastafari.
Ja! You feel me? Tie it back in. That's it. That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
No, but nah, for real though. At the end of the day, don't hurt yourself. Don't play yourself. Don't snitch on yourself. And also everybody that has an opinion on this kid, step in. Like if you really know what's going on, you understand. Future's just a genius musician. He's a blues jazz singer. He's just telling you the times. He's a journalist like yourself, in some capacity. He'll tell you himself. He's not out there doing all them drugs. Y'all should know better than that. You don't know better than that. He's singing the blues. If I tell you the blues of someone that is unhoused, if I tell you the blues of someone that was traumatized or hurt, that don't mean you gotta do it. So somebody needs to tell him, Playboy, you listening to all these raps, but the shit's deeper than rap. It really is. So you have to have discernment. You have to know that within that message Tupac gave, yeah, he might have been like, I get around, but at the end of the day, he really said powerful shit, right? Like you might have heard DMX talk about, and if she's older than 50, cool. Forget that part. Listen to the prayer. You only gotta listen to number 17. You could skip track 9. You could skip it. Skip the whole shit. You don't gotta listen. So ultimately,
but don't you think if people say things that you shouldn't listen to, they're not saying all the things that you need to hear?
I think it's track 8.
Huh?
You said what?
Don't you think if people are saying the things that people shouldn't listen to, you should skip a track? Do you think that makes the message worse?
I don't think it should, but I feel like humans don't like to be told what to do. So then that's where the opposite comes in. But at the end of the day, motherfuckers don't know how to make shit make sense. Like Einstein said, if you can't explain the complicated in a simple way, you don't understand it yourself. You got all these confused people trying to teach you shit they don't understand. Listen, wild out if you want to.
Blind leading the blind.
Wild out at the crib, bro. You poppin', you rich. America is not necessarily fair. We know that, right? So you not gonna get the same. You not Ben Roethlisberger, whatever. What's the dude's name? You not him, bro. You're not about to get away with murder. Or
I don't think he murdered anyone.
Or well, who's the guy that did?
Ray
the Jason
Lewis.
guy, Ray Lewis. Okay, cool. You're not gonna.
No one got away with anything.
Well,
this is reckless speculation.
He
brought
got
to you
away
by
with
Shine
the
and Jam.
R word. So forget about him. We know.
This is reckless speculation.
I heard about you, and it wasn't good. Point is, sir, relax.
Legally speaking,
all of the people, no matter what your background is, right? They'll come after you if you praying too much. Like what was his name? Tebow. You can't do nothing around here. You wildin'.
We should probably stop saying people's names at this point.
I'm just saying. You wildin' at the strip club. You can't do nothing. You can't kneel. You can't pray. You can't do nothing. So you thought what? You were about to get away with taking a gun to the club? Ja bless Ja Morant. That's it. That's all I got. Listen to some Sizzler, Ja Morant. That's what you need.
Go to and get a really nice steak and shrimp combo. I think $14.95. They're not a sponsor, but they should be.
We are beeping over that whole thing. So if y'all just heard a beep, he just gave somebody who hadn't cut the check yet a plug. So once they cut the check, we'll
have great steaks.
Wow. We'll beep that too. He thinks he's clever, so we're just gonna stop. So ultimately, yeah, you need some sizzler in your life.
I do.
Not you.
Someone. Ja does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does. I think he does for real. Because that's disappointing. Like, that's where it's like, I don't care if you like LeBron or don't like LeBron. I think LeBron's great. That's a good.
Well, I was going to say earlier when we were talking about the aliens, even if you're like someone who hates LeBron, aliens come down and it's a one-on-one, you're picking LeBron. You're just going with LeBron. Like, I'm just saying. Like,
he'll definitely like.
You could be a Laker hater. You're still picking LeBron. Just saying.
For sure. Nah, but he's a good example, Like, whether you're a fan of certain people or not, you have to, and it's like some people live their full truth and then some people don't. But everyone will have an opinion about whatever. But ultimately, like, you want to be a good example for the kids, playa. And also, you don't want to get bagged. So just because you got away with it this time, don't start wilding, bro. Don't. Just relax. It's
But I think a lot of people don't have that voice in their life. Like, I can think of a lot of times, maybe not a lot of times, but a few times in my life where I could have gone a different direction.
Yep.
Maybe not as good a direction. I could have really messed up, but I had someone like you who understood life, who understood the situation, who understood me and knew how to communicate to me. How does someone who's that famous, who's achieved such a certain level of notoriety, of influence in the world, how does someone get through to someone like that? Like, what's like, how is it possible? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a lot easier for people to want someone to get help when they don't want help. If someone doesn't want help, you can't help them. I just think ultimately.
I agree with that 100%. But I think some of it is we have to create cultures around player shit versus cultures around
lame shit,
right?
Yeah.
So with that culture around it, like how does a guy at his level who don't really like, who's not listening to all right, tune into the Ranagade show.
And I'm not saying this guy's life is spiraling out of control, but we've seen 100 different examples,
that's
right?
what I'm saying. But you need some, like, the word, like, okay, all right, let's just, the Bible, let's just, for the lack of better example, it's right there. You don't understand what it says. That's why you need somebody to kind of tell you what's going on with this. What does this mean? What does life mean? You might see it. You might have seen the examples. You might know what it is, but you definitely need somebody to still break it down for you, right? And I think that's where some people have been given the gift of gab and have the ability to be good, tunable, perfectly loud, boisterous radios that can then deliver that message. And now the ancestors and the truth can go through them and they can deliver it properly, respectfully. And, you know, if you feel like you popping and can't nobody tell you nothing, start tuning in here, because shit about to make sense without it being super like that, da, 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 ba, ah. It's not that. It's not none of that. It's real like bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Like, it's easy. Like, it makes sense. It all just fucking flows together, right? But why you don't want to hear something and you go against it is because you naturally want to go against stuff. Like, because you don't think it's, because somebody...
You said something so profound. People don't have a chance to say no. They don't have a chance to say no. Who do people have a chance to say no to, honestly?
No, and they need to exercise how good no feels. Like women, exercise how good it feels to say no.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Oppressed people of the world should be allowed to say no without being hurt.
Getting oppressed
bombed,
further. Yep.
Oppressed further.
Yeah.
Wiped out, genocided, right? Like,
yeah.
No. If, like, there's a saying, if you can't say no, your yeses mean nothing.
That's very true.
If a person is not allowed to say no, if you don't have enough human dignity to be able to say no, every yes I ever gave you was a lie. I didn't mean none of it. I only did it because I was fearful for my life. I don't mean it. Let a person say no to you, and then them yeses will mean something. Let your girl say no to you a couple times, then them yeses will mean something. Let your wife say no a couple of times, them yeses will mean something.
It's that duality thing we're talking about. Like, if your life is all happy, the first moment of sadness you experience is going to crush you, right? And it's like, if your life has just been so depressed, any joy that comes your way is going to feel, it's going to feel scary. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people question, like, why, people from poverty who get rich don't know how to handle their money, because they don't know what it is.
Period.
They have no concept of it. And that's why people who have generational wealth usually keep it for a lot of generations, because they've learned that culture of, like, this is just what money does.
Yeah.
They've kind of figured it out. And it's like...
Yeah, but by the third generation, that's when you have, like, the Romans and the...
Exactly. No, you got Roman Roy coming to screw everything up and jerking off on a plate glass window or something, so...
But it has to be taught. I think that's where if you can, you must. If you can teach, you must. If you know some shit, if you know a better way out, if you could turn smart people that learn from their own mistakes into geniuses that could also learn from your mistakes, that's your job to do so.
Yes.
And I wish some of these people had, and sometimes people don't have time to go seek the knowledge, but if the people who have the knowledge pour that and drop that on people, then we can get somewhere. And honestly, that's why that's why I'm here. This whole purpose of this entire thing is to be like, bruh, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what we could actually be doing, and then it'll make sense. And then the second what I say isn't the truth, is the truth, is the truth, is the truth, is the truth, and it ain't the same thing your mother, father, grandfather, teacher, professor, anybody would agree with. And I'm not talking about like certain little like Googleable facts. We're talking about the truth.
Yeah.
The truth.
What does your life mean? What does everything kind of mean?
Right.
Yeah.
The second this doesn't align, go somewhere. The second somebody tells you, I know what you should do, I don't know nothing. I'm literally another breathing organism on the planet. My turn. My turn. And we done let all these boys talk. We done had 9 prophets, all boys. I got something to say. And it don't gotta all be bird talk. It doesn't all have to be like, you know, your body is what you got. What? This thing is a vehicle. Now, granted, it is divine. However, it's a thing. It's nothing. My spirit is just like yours is. I got something to say just like you do. I could pick that up just like you can. I might need your help. I'm shorter than you. But me and you been siblings.
You're older than me. I need you, and it's just like we all need each other, and that's what I was saying about
like how you get
your
stuff from
problems
the
are
top
not
shelf
your
for
problems.
me. Yeah, how you get stuff from the top shelf for me, I get stuff from the bottom shelf for you.
Yeah,
what are we talking about? We go to the grocery store together.
Right.
You don't need to bend all the way down, and I don't need to strain myself. But that's why this whole thing is perfect. That's why there's roses and lilies and passion flower, and there's but one flower can't look at the other flower and be like, this air's mine. Bro, no, it's not. The sunshine's not yours either. The sun is actually, matter of fact, heating you up, and Venus and Pluto and a bunch of shit that don't even got life on it, or maybe got life on it, or is just gassy or whatever's going. Like, you're not special. You're not special. You're special to me because I love you. I'm special to you because you love me. You know, right? The world is special. The people are special. But, like, you're not above life special.
Yes.
So that's why we're here. That's why we're here, to make sure that these amazing, great athletes, these amazing, great leaders of the world, students of the world, all of us can kind of just be on the same page of truth.
100%, yeah.
At the Ranagade Show, powered by Shine and Jam. Look at the baby hairs. Hold on, listen. The hairs be laid. That's it. That's all we got.
We're good.
I think we're good. I think we can wrap it up. So listen, like it, subscribe, share. You know what they say at the end. Commit.
Fight.
Do all of that. Fight
for the
your
Ranagade Show.
Yeah,
right
fight
now.
for the Renegade Show. Tell your friends
Not
about
literally.
it.
This is a legal
Bring
disclaimer.
them
Do not
here.
actually fight anyone. But if you wanted to.
Yeah. Period. So we're here. We're gonna make sure this shit is worth something for you. You know what I mean? Because you like Jay-Z said, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't let you down. America's gonna make sure he never lets you down.
Fill your glass to the top with Moe.
Listen, you know what I'm saying? I'm feeling it. So we love y'all. Tune in, Ranagade Show, co-host, Amirica, powered by Shine and Jam. Get your life right. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. Bada.